Hello, HMS Bobcats. Mr. Flato here. Welcome back to another great week at the Helena Middle School. Brand new Bob lesson for you all today. This Bob lesson was inspired by a fellow eighth grade student that I was having a really good conversation with this week. This particular student just felt overwhelmed with things and so many things, like so many other kids going on in life. And we kind of sat and talked and broke it down. And I kind of left this student with three different areas to think about in their life for managing just everything that was going on. And I thought to myself, this is probably good Bob lesson material where all students could probably use hearing and hopefully benefit from hearing these three strategies that we kind of coming through and talking things out and processing things we came up with. Um, Eighth grade, moving into freshman year, is an exciting time. As you get older, there's more things to be involved in, and one of the main things at Helena High is being involved in different activities, athletics, groups, clubs, that sort of thing. And there's more and more possibilities out there. You'll notice as you get older. And one of the other things that you'll notice as more options of activity, sporting things, clubs become available, you really have to narrow in and zero in who you are as a person. And right now you have 24 hours. We all have 24 hours, and that never changes. So when you get older and you get spread more thin and you have more opportunities to do different things, you really got to be conscious of how you spend your time with organization and with all these things that come sometimes, and the pressures ramp up and the expectations ramp up as you get older and the responsibilities ramp up as you get older. I can totally see how a lot of kids and adults, myself, I get there too, end up in this space where they have the perfect emoji, the mind blown emoji, where you just can't take it anymore. You feel like you're going to explode. So on today's Bob Lesson, I'm going to talk about three different strategies that I'm hoping that you can use that I found help in my own life when it just feels like I've got so many things going on and I start feeling myself wearing thin, and strategies I do to kind of get myself back centered and in a good spot. So hope you guys enjoy it. I hope it's helpful for you. Um, and I hope you enjoy the lesson. All right, Bobcats, we're off and running on this Bob lesson that is going to be titled Three Strategies for When You're Overwhelmed. But first, as always, let's be our best this week at HMS. Let's be safe. Let's be responsible. Let's be respectful. Let's be a learner. All right, the first strategy or tip I'm coming to you with today is center yourself and hunker down in the moment. I want you to just take a moment and kind of envision. If any of you have ever been in a tornado, which is an extremely frightening and terrifying thing, or even been through a hurricane, you'll notice you don't see people out in the streets riding their bikes, walking around, driving their cars, right? You see people that are hunkering down in a safe place, usually somewhere with no windows, down in the basement in a crawl space. And much like one would do if they were waiting on a hurricane or tornado, I want you to hunker down emotionally, metaphorically, and stop overextending yourselves. A lot of times when people feel like they're getting overwhelmed, it's because they've got so much going on. And whether you're into yoga, whether you're into meditation, um, it's about mentally and emotionally just kind of stopping, closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, and centering yourself in the moment. It's critically important to stay focused on the present moment, and that is huge. The present moment, letting your mind wander to, and I know we all do this, especially future oriented stuff, will just bog you down more and raise your anxiety about everything you have going on in life. I know when I get super stressed and I start feeling overwhelmed, I start thinking about, I got to do this, 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 I got that after school, I got that. And I can just feel my anxiety building. I have found that if you just focus on one thing at a time, you just focus on the present moment, and focusing on the present moment, that helps alleviate my anxiety. And presenting on the focus moment is kind of a metaphor for just hunkering down, where everything around you is spinning as if it's a tornado or a hurricane. There's high winds, there's things going on. Just hunker down in the moment and just focus on the present moment, what's going on. Because at the end of the day, remember, we only ever get the moment we're currently in life, right? We only get this very moment. So it doesn't help thinking about what happened yesterday or what happened last week or mistakes we made or regrets we have. That does not help, right? And especially it does not help getting too focused on what we have upcoming. and stressing ourselves out about all the tasks and all the things that we have in the future, right? The future is always going to be the future. It's out there somewhere. All we ever have is the moment. What's that win? That's one of my favorite acronyms. What's important now? So when you get in those moments, hunker down, think of when, think of what's important. What is important now is just the present moment. All right, tip number 2. It's really important that when we get overextended, we got things going on, we really assess what we can control and we figure out what we can't control. This is a great strategy for life, whether we're overextended and we're anxious and we're feeling stress and we're overwhelmed. Whether we are or not, it's just a good strategy. So again, a good reminder: things we can control: our attitude, how we adjust to situations, how we treat other people, our work ethic, our preparation, our schoolwork. Those are just 6 things. There are many, many, many more out there. So when we end up in that moment, think about what we can control. The other thing we need to think about things we can't control, which is other people, which are life circumstances, which are how other people treat you, your parents or your guardians, whether other people like you or not, or your own inherent natural abilities, right? So when we're feeling overwhelmed, we really need to bring things back a level to focusing on things we can control. And if you catch yourself worrying or having these things that we can't control that are adding to your anxiety, you're adding to your overwhelmness, okay, you're not doing yourself a service. So focus in on things we can control. And the final tip I have for you today is we've got to eliminate the extras out of our life. I talked in the intro about how as we get older, how as we get into high school, we're going to have more and more and more things going on in our lives. And it can be very overwhelming. I remember my spring of my freshman year, I just felt like I had so many things going on. I was just wearing thin. I would have, I would get up, I would have zero period. I would have football workouts in the morning. I would do school. I would have weightlifting. I'd have track practice. I'd go to baseball, homework. I just had a lot of things going on. At any given time in life, we have a myriad of hobbies, relationships, and other time wasters that we do. When life becomes a lot, we get overwhelmed. It's important that we go back and reassess. And sometimes we need to reprioritize our values, right? We're starting to get overwhelmed. We're starting to have a lot of things going on. It's at that point where we got to come back and figure out a values list. Okay, let me go down and list the things that are most important. And things that are at the bottom of our values list, that sometimes we have time for, and sometimes we don't. That may be some things that we need to eliminate. So, what would be a good example of some of those things? I don't know, maybe hanging out with some friends that aren't in our inner circle. Maybe getting rid of a hobby that really isn't productive for you. Maybe getting rid of some screen time or getting rid of some Netflix time. Getting rid of some things that maybe aren't adding to your life and they're causing you more stress. Something that's very important is make sure you don't inadvertently eliminate things that are a necessary part of your self-care, like going to bed on time, right? That sleep deprivation, that's just going to make things worse. Or getting rid of your exercise routine. That's not going to help your stress relief. That's something that we need to do. The close friendships with family, those sort of things that are part of your self-care, we got to be very careful that we don't eliminate those things. So my final tip is taking an inventory, reassessing your value lists, reassessing everything you have important in life, and figuring out at some point, what do I need to cut off of that and what do I need to get rid of? All right, let's get to the part of the lesson where I give away jelly beans. This week's winners: Danger Dufler, Henry Coy, James Tran, Kendra Schmidt, and Megan Glatz. The answer to last week's lesson was the letter D, or December. Those were the first letters of each month, 1 through 11. Obviously, December is the last month that was missing. And we're almost there. We're 1 month away. All right, this week's Jelly Bean question of the week. What occurs once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in a year? If you think you know the answer, get it submitted. Make sure you put your full name on it. I had some correct answers, but I was missing full names or names at all. And tune in next week to see if you're a winner. Let's make it a great week at the Helena Middle School Bobcats.